with him, he can go into more details on that. But his name was recommended to me by the company itself when we were putting our program together. They said, oh, you need John to be on this program. So we really appreciate him taking his time and traveling to be with us. We have a lot of our retirees up in the Sherman, McKinney area. And so we will be putting all of these slides you've seen today will be on our internet, TI website. And so, John, we thank you for doing this. Go ahead.
Thanks for your introduction. And first of all, I need to use this. There you go. What I want to speak about, Rick ran a little bit long, is I want to go through a general 4-slide presentation, which was recommended by Max. I was going to answer some of the questions that were submitted, and which actually Rick has answered some of them, so he stole some of my thunder. And then I'll be able to take some questions from all of y'all. And because of the audience, here today, I want to bring somebody along I'll work with, Bob Johnson. He's been in the financial planning, working with IRAs and retirement plans for, let's say, 40 years, whereas I've been in the tax business for 25, so we have a little different niches. So somebody's asking me a question about IRAs and R&Ds, and I might refer to Bob for some of the answers to help me out. And the first question somebody asked me a while ago was, how do you become voted best accountant in McKinney? Well, you stuffed a ballot box. No, actually the Chamber of Commerce in McKinney, each year in their magazine, this McKinney Living magazine, will have a survey. They'll ask for the best hamburger in McKinney, the best pizza, the best accountant, so you know where we rate, So, and I'm a small firm. Right now I have 3 accountants working with me. And we're trying to, give personalized service. This time of year, unfortunately, many of my clients have my personal cell. I receive phone calls at 5:30 in the morning. I receive phone calls at 11:30 at night. I do not turn my cell phone off. Sometimes I wish I did, but I do not. But I've been fortunate enough that my clients have voted me the best accountant in McKinney. I've been very fortunate in that. And one of the topics Max wanted me to talk about was the resources available. And Rick has already gone through a lot of these. And they talk about the VITA program, the free service offered by the IRS. There's an AARP, there's help on the site, or you can call them up.
You have to be a member?
That one I don't know. Actually, I'm not a member, so I don't know. So I think I called them.
I cancel when we supported Obamacare.
Oh. I don't think you have to. The very last one's the one I like. And it's free filing through the IRS, simple returns. You can get your information out at www.irs.gov. But now, when I answer questions about any software or about how to program my TV or my remote, I go to Google. And I type in free tax help. And there was pages and pages of different sites that can give you free tax advice. And they will, now, several years ago, there wasn't much information out there. When Google came out, because of their search engine, they pulled out quite a bit of information. And you have to be careful, like anything else, where you get your information from. Make sure you get it from a site that has the information. A lot of times if I'm looking for a particular issue, I go to my Tax Master Guide, or it's a tax guide, which is a reference book. It's about this thick. But then sometimes I even go through Google. And the Accounting Today magazine will have some articles about a particular subject that I'm interested in. So I'll read the article. But I make sure where I'm reading it from. Like Accounting Today magazine, written by CPAs, therefore, you know, to me, it has some authority, some validity to it. Well, I said, even the other day, I needed help with QuickBooks. You know, being a CPA, we have to be knowledgeable about software, QuickBooks, and how to use the program. I don't call into it. I use Google to get my answer. And you don't have to wait online for 30 minutes to get a support person. So it's amazing what you can get with Google now. And professional help. Do you save money by doing it yourself? Well, yeah, I mean, TurboTax is what, $49, $79. And a person I hired in at Lacerte probably in, I think I hired him in '94. He leads a team that helps test TurboTax here in Plano. And they have a group of people in San Diego, some in Virginia, and some in Plano that will be testing the program. They start testing around September. They write the code, make sure if you put a amount into the IRA that carries to page 1, if your income's at the right level, it's not over the limit. But TurboTax makes mistakes. Now that I'm a formal employee of Intuit, I'll probably can say this, but TurboTax had a very common mistake for several years for people who live in Texas. In Texas, you get sales tax deduction because we didn't have an income tax. And in TurboTax, you had to identify that you are a Texas resident. It wouldn't pick it up automatically from your address. You put in an address of, Central, in Richardson, Texas, you assumed they would automatically pick up a Texas sales tax. It did not. So there's another place in TurboTax, you had to identify yourself as being a Texas resident. Many returns that came in, a new clients that I bring in last year's return is TurboTax. The first thing I always look at is the sales tax deduction. And maybe 40 or 50% of them miss that on their return. And there could be a difference of $400 or $500 in your refund, which more than pay for my fee. So that's something to look at. If you use TurboTax, always keep an eye on the sales tax deduction on Schedule A. H&R Block. I've seen tax returns come to me from H&R Block that somebody paid one was $945. I prepared a return for $475. So H&R Block was higher than a CPA. And then I had to go back and correct some of the things they put on the return. And I say tax return started by CPA 250. That's if it's a very simple return.
Are you talking about HR Block software?
No, I'm talking about the office. You go to an office.
Okay, but HR Block has a software.
Yes.
That's like the TurboTax, right?
Yes. I think it's called Tax Cut.
No, it's now HR Block. It's been Tax Cut, but this year it's HR Block.
Okay. Yes, I'm referring to going to an HR Block office. And they would charge so much per form, and it add up. And how much does it cost you? Well, sometimes it's how valuable is your time. I've lived for 25 years in taxes. Every day I'm talking about taxes. I'm probably on vacation talking about taxes. We make jokes about taxes. We live and die taxes. And it's hard for me to keep up with it every day. I mean, with the tax law changes that came out in December, here's an update to my guide that's about this thick, trying to go through and keep up with it. So, yes, you can do the return yourself. Yes, you can save money, but sometimes you might be missing something. And a lot of times you don't know what you're missing. And that's the trouble. If you knew what you was missing, you could research it, but you don't know what you're missing. And secure backup and peace of mind. I give a story of about 2-3 years ago, a client came into my office, a new client. He brought his wife. He was back then he was 73. He's prepared his return himself. It wasn't too complex. He has some retirements, he has some IRAs, he has Social Security interest. He had his itemized deductions. And he had to fill it out. So I asked him, I said, why are you coming to me? I mean, you prepared the return. He says he's been preparing it for years himself. He says, what if something happens to me? Who is my wife going to go to get help from? She won't know where the records are. He says, and I think I charged him, my fee was only about $235 to actually prepare the return and electronically file it. But basically, I'm a depository for his records, for his tax records. I ended up keeping, I scan his documents, I keep them on file, I keep his prior year tax returns on file. And you know, it made sense, because now, that a lot of times this happened, you know, a spouse will come in and say, you know, my husband or my wife died, they kept all the taxes, you know, what do I need to do? And, you know, and if I have the records, I said, well, last year, this was what I needed. I needed a mortgage statement. I needed the interest from Chase. I need the interest from JP Morgan. You need to accumulate these documents. So I'm able to help that person. Whereas the other case, a new client came in. He had a small business. He handed me some bank statements. He says, in a couple of days, I'll bring you the rest of the information. Well, I didn't hear back from him. I left messages for him. I never heard back. 4 or 5 months later, his wife came in. That person had a heart attack. And she said, he had a business. We found something that said you had his records.